What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the all-new 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EUV. Huge shout out and thank you to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this new electric car for today's video. Check out the link to their website in the description below. They have a huge selection of the new Chevrolet lineup, so definitely check them out. So let's get right into this car. And the model that we're looking at today is an LT trim level, finished off in silver flare metallic, and has an MSRP at $37,000. The all-new Bolt EUV utilizes an entirely electric drivetrain. This features a front-mounted motor as well as front-wheel drive configuration. The motor itself pumps out 200 horsepower with 266 pound-feet of torque, and all that power is nearly instantaneous once you hit the accelerator pedal. It can do 0 to 60 in 7 seconds flat and comes standard with a dual level charge cord. You have a 120 volt as well as a 240 volt option with the cord. Using the 120 volt 3-prong outlet, you'll get around 4 miles of drive time with 1 hour of charging. If you bump it up and use the 240 volt charging cord, that'll get you around 25 miles per hour of charge time. Overall range is around 247 miles on one full charge, and it does feature regenerative braking. EUV stands for Electric Utility Vehicle, so this car is a smaller crossover SUV. It might be hard to distinguish that in pictures and videos, but it looks similar to the Chevrolet Trailblazer. The overall curb weight is around 3,700 pounds, and then for some dimensions, the length is 169.5 inches with wheelbase at 105.3. Height is 63.6, and then it even has cargo volume at 56.9 cubic feet. If we take a look at the styling of this new Bolt EUV, this has a very clean look all around with some sharp edges. You'll notice up front the entire bumper is super sleek looking with smooth edges, and it really gives it an aerodynamic look. You get a set of LED daytime running lights with LED turn signals up in the upper portion. The projector headlights are mounted down below that with some nice black housings and chrome trim. Has a very sleek and modern appearance, and you can also see a nice body line on the farthest sides of the front bumper to help it look a little bit wider. Right in the center there is a grille to allow cooling to some of the cooling mechanisms within this electric vehicle. While it doesn't have a traditional combustion engine, it still has heat exchangers for some of the various components. You'll see some gloss black trim around this front grille with a really cool texture in the center, finish off in a metallic gray. It has a nice contrast against this new paint color for this car, and you'll also notice a blacked out Chevrolet logo right in the center. We have a blacked out splitter down below with some more of that silver accent, and you get a sharp line in the upper portion of this bumper. There's more sleek lines within the hood, and you can even see the Bolt EUV logo on the farthest sides. And then moving to the side profile of the Bolt EUV, this features a set of 17-inch wheels finished off in a two-tone color. There's that same metallic gray we saw on the front grille and some cool silver accents. That same black trim from the front bumper flows its way to the fender arches as well as the lower portion of the side doors, and there even is a sharp line around the fenders to really give it a sportier design. There's a lot of sleek lines in the side profile, and I love how the C-pillar has a blacked out look. You can see all the black trim around the windows, and it really gives it a nice cool appearance. We have body colored door handles and some body colored accents on the side mirrors with gloss black trim, and they also feature an integrated LED turn signal. There's also a set of roof rails up top in more of the silver color, and the whole side profile has a very proportional design. And then moving to the rear end, those black accents from the C-pillar flow their way into the rear spoiler and trim around the rear glass. You can see the silver integrated spoiler up top with an integrated LED brake light. You also have a shark fin antenna up top here as well. The LED taillights have a really sharp design and are integrated very nicely into the rear. They're also connected with a gloss black trim piece. You get another blacked out Chevy bow tie, and then the standard backup camera right beneath that. Along this liftgate, you have some more sharp body lines that mimic what you saw up front, and you get a nice font for the Bolt EUV logo. I really like the blue accents in it as well. The rear bumper has more black trim with 4 parking sensors, and then that same silver accent color in the center with the reverse light right in the center. So there's a good look at the styling and some of the specifications for the new 2022 Bolt EUV. Comment below, what do you guys think of this new electric crossover? It has a really good style, especially in person. We now have Chevy's key fob. It does have remote start. If I go ahead and lock the car and then tap on the start stop button, the electronics are basically just going to turn on. It'll warm up the car or cool it down depending on the climate. And then just keeping the key fob in my pocket, all I have to do is grab the door handle and press the button. It'll unlock and we can check out the interior. This interior is finished off in jet black and night shift blue. If we go ahead and take a look at the door panel now, you can see the two-tone coloring. You can see the blue accents on this side with white stitching, has a really nice look and some good padding. Then you get all the black accents, more of the same silver that we saw up front. Your grab handle right here with all of your window controls and mirror controls. We have your release handle with lock and unlock, and then a little bit of storage down below. If we move our way inside, this does feature power controls for the driver's seat. You have the forwards back, the recline, as well as the lumbar support. The blue leather seats even have some nice stitching along the sides that have somewhat of a blue accent to them. You can see perforated leather right in the center with a really cool triangular design, and then some nice stitches going along here for a cool contour. Moving our way up the seat, you can see more of the contrast stitching as well as the perforations, and then all the way up to the headrest. If we spin around to the steering wheel, we get black leather on this with somewhat of a flat bottom design even, and then some silver accents and all black stitching. And then now inside the Bolt, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and turn all the electronics on. Of course, you don't hear any engine start up, but all the screens will turn on as you would expect, and the climate control will even start to go. If we take a look at the center display now, you can see some of the information come up. We have your speed right in the center, as well as some more information on the left and the right. If we use the controls on the right side of the steering wheel, we can scroll up, down, and click left and right. If I go ahead and click to the left, we can go through many different items within this screen. You can see your navigation, music, and phone pop up. You can tap your information icon, and then easily scroll through a lot of different things within the car. If I go back over now, we can go down to another menu. Clicking in here, we have two different views. We have more of a clean layout and then one with a little bit more information, which is really cool to have both ways. If we continue over now and scroll all the way down to this settings icon, you can see your speed warning you can control, you have your units, and many different items like that. So I really like how simple this is, as well as how much information you get to see. If we take a look at the steering wheel now, we have those controls over on the right, and then on the left side we have all the cruise control settings. There is somewhat of a paddle shifter over on the left side that you can see. You can toggle this for the battery, and then we have your automatic high beams and turn signal stock on the left, and then on the right we have all the wiper blade controls. Moving our way to the left side of the steering wheel, we have all the headlight controls as well as the interior lighting. We get one of the air vents with some nice chrome trim, and then we get black going across the entire dash with a nice piece of stitching for a cooler design. There's this gloss black trim running through the entire dashboard and some leather accent and stitching on the right side. If we move to the center now, we have a massive touchscreen, as you can see, for all the infotainment. It does feature Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. If we tap this icon right here for energy, you can see a lot of the different information come up for the battery system. You can see your flow of battery. All the details will come up as well, which is really cool to be able to monitor. We have more information that'll come up, and then a history. If you tap charging, you can see everything come up on the right side and the levels. And you even get a time zone to see how everything would do. We can tap the home icon to get back to this main screen. And then if I continue to scroll over, we have more information that'll come up. Climate controls are easy and they'll come up right on the screen. We do have physical buttons over on the left side for your home icon, radio on, off, and volume. And then if we go ahead and put the vehicle into reverse with my foot on the brake, you just pull this back. The standard backup camera will come up, and it has a really large view so you can easily see. And then back to the gear selector, if we just press this down, that goes into park, and putting it into drive is just like reverse, where you pull it back, and then neutral is a button. So going back into park now. Beneath the screen now, we have all the different climate control settings. You have different toggles right here for your fan speed. You can easily toggle this up and down, and as you do that, it changes on the screen. We have your temperature control right here that you can toggle up and down as well. I like the integration of this. It definitely makes it look and feel much more premium. We have your on-off switch, and then your heated and ventilated seat control. You toggle it down for the cold, and then toggling all the way up, the LEDs will change as we get into the heated seat. Down below this, we do get wireless charging, as you can see. And then we have three different icons down here. This one right here is actually your sport mode. It'll come up on the screen telling you sport mode is on and off. And then right in the center, we have your traction control icon as well as the lane keeping. Taking a look at the center now, we have a little bit of storage for your key fob, an electronic park and brake over on the right side, and then the automatic brake hold right here. There's also two cup holders right in the center, and then a nice armrest with some leather. If we open this up, we get a little bit of space in here, as you can see. Good enough for some phones and some wallets. And then over on the right side for the glove box, we have a lot of space in here, as you would expect. You get a nice open bucket. And then with this closed, taking one last look at the interior, I think Chevy did a really good job making this look nice and neat. Everything is laid out very well, as you would expect, and I think the use of materials and colors are fantastic. I especially love the blue coloring on the seats. Definitely gives it a really unique look, and it stands out very nicely. Taking a look at the ceiling now, we have some grab handles up there with your sunshades, and then right in the center we have your dome light controls and the OnStar. And then taking a look at the rear seat space, I can go ahead and open up the door. The rear end is finished off just like we saw up front with the two-tone on the door panel, and we get the same blue leather seats back here. You can see all the perforated leather and stitching to match, and we do get a 3-row bench seat. We do have a few amenities like some USB ports right in the center, and then a storage cubby on the right side. Alright, so sitting now in the back of the EUV, this is a pretty decent sized smaller crossover SUV. I'm 5'11", I have the driver's seat set at my height, and I have a little bit of knee room, as you can see, like 6 inches up there. My feet are fitting nicely as well. Headroom, I have about an inch above my head. This does kind of come in a little bit right here, but nonetheless, I am fitting pretty comfortably. You have a large piece of glass right here, and it's pretty opening back here. You do have a really good armrest over on the left, and if we take a look at the center now, we can open up this. You get another armrest with 2 more cup holders, so it's definitely pretty usable back here and pretty roomy. And then to take a look at the rear cargo area, there's a cutout right in the lower portion. We can press the button and easily lift open the gate. We have a pretty good amount of space in here. It's not a crazy large SUV. Of course, it's a smaller crossover. We do have the different chargers for the cables. This is the larger one for the 240 volt, and then the standard one is just a normal wall plug. So it's nice that it comes with that standard. You can see you can fit probably 3 or 4 backpacks in here and a decent amount of luggage for 4 people to go on a small trip. And with that privacy covered removed, there's a handle on each side of the seat. You can lift this up and push the seats forward and they'll lock flat out of the way. So with it all open now, it definitely opens up the interior cargo space, and I like how they fold nice and flat. If we go ahead and enter through this side now, you still get a ton of space in front of these seats. So it really makes a smaller vehicle like this super usable. And then you can see the opening is endless to the back to make this a pretty practical, smaller electric vehicle. Alright guys, so we are setting off now in the Bolt EUV. So I've driven a few electric cars in the last year or so, so I have a little bit of an understanding of what an electric car should drive like. So far, being in this car, as far as normal things like visibility, you do have a really large windshield, so I can easily see what's going on in front of me, and these side windows are also pretty large, so you definitely have no issues there. Mirrors all do a pretty good job, and then looking over my left and right shoulder, the window is pretty large on the left, and through the right, there's a lot of glass back there. So it's definitely a good roomy car to be in. As far as comfort, these seats are really nice. I like all the different controls. I can get them in a pretty good position to be nice and comfortable in the car. So let's go ahead and see what it's like getting up to some speed. We're in the normal drive mode, so just giving it about half throttle right now. That's up to 40, 45, and 50. That is a pretty quick car, and that's just barely giving it some throttle. I want to say giving it some gas, but of course it's an electric car. I do like how on the right side of the screen we have that gauge to show you your acceleration, and when you hit the brakes, it shows you your braking. One thing I noticed, this little paddle shifter over on the left, it looks like this is the one for the regen braking. So if I take my foot off the gas and just hit this button, the car actually is slowing down and regenerating the electricity and power. So that's kind of cool that you have that manual control over there. As far as road noise and wind noise, so far it's pretty comfortable and quiet. We have a little bit quicker stretch over there. But as I do come to a slower speed, the brakes do a really good job in this car. I like, because it has the regen and everything, it does help decelerate the vehicle quite a lot. So then getting back up to some speed, we'll give it a little bit more throttle. It's definitely peppy. It's got a lot of instant torque, just a little bit of torque steer as you get more into the accelerator pedal, but nonetheless pretty peppy vehicle. I like how we have also the safety features. Like right now, the lane keeping assist is actually going to turn the steering wheel for me and keep me in the lane. So I like how for a pretty affordable electric car, you still get those safety features. And then if we move to some of the interior interface, the screen is really nice. I like how large it is, and it's at a pretty good angle to where even though the sun is on it, there's no glare, so I can actually see it really well. A lot of cars, you don't get that, so that is nice that this is angled pretty well. I like how you do have the different colored rings on some of the icons, like your climate controls in red, so you can easily see that without really focusing on it. And then if you swipe over, I like if we tap the energy icon, it's pretty cool seeing that while you are driving. I can see all 4 wheels spinning, and it's showing the battery level, so it gives you a really good understanding of what is happening in the car as you're driving. If I hit the brakes, you can see it changing the direction it's going, which is kind of cool to see. Let me tap the regen button over here. So as I tap that, the icon pretty much stays the same, but the car definitely slows down quite a bit. So with that said, let's go ahead and put it into sport mode now. The car should get a little bit more peppy, and I would assume all that electric power is going to now be available. So we will get up and go on a nice little curvy road too. So giving it some throttle. Wow. That is peppy. That really does get you up to some speed. That was up to 50 without even thinking. And then as we are on some twisty turns, going around 50. This car seems pretty composed. It has a pretty large curb weight for being such a small vehicle, but I like how I would assume the battery pack is actually in the lower portion of the car. I would assume it matches the diagram you're seeing on the screen. So the center of gravity is pretty low in this car to where doing a turn like this, you don't really feel much body roll. There's a little bit of, again, it is a crossover vehicle. It's not just a sedan or a little hatchback. It is a crossover style vehicle. But I like how it's pretty composed when hitting the turns. As far as accelerating once we're cruising, so we're going around 50. Wow. In sport mode, that got up to about 60 miles an hour going from 50. That's pretty peppy. I'll hit this icon again, and it basically slows you down without having to use the brake. And I would assume the more you drive this car and the more you get used to it, you're gonna have a pretty good understanding of when to tap that icon instead of using your foot brake. Steering is pretty heavy as well. And getting up to some speed. Yeah, you do get a little bit of torque steer. Of course, being only front wheel drive, that's kind of going to happen, especially when you have instant torque well into the 200 range. So you do have some power right there. And then coming into a sharper turn will be harder on the brakes. It's definitely a car that I think holds its own. You know, it's pretty confident. So if you're gonna be driving this somewhat long distances, it's nice to know that you can handle mountain roads and things like that. As far as the range goes, that seems pretty good for a car like this. And I like how there are different charging options. The standard one, it might take quite a while to actually charge the car, but that's a very simple, convenient way. Just plug it into the wall. Any house will be able to accommodate that. So overall, pretty nice car to cruise around, and it does feel like a very normal vehicle to be in. It's not some crazy weird electric car like some cars get to. They get a little too complicated, I think. This one feels like a nice, normal, smaller crossover. I think it's going to do the job for a daily, and I think two people especially are very comfortable in this car. And even if you have people in the rear seats, I think it's still going to be a practical car where you can use it and actually go on some trips and things like that. Of course, just plan your trips ahead to know where you can charge the vehicle. That's kind of the main thing with any electric car. You have to be able to have it charge up. So I think that is it then for the 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EUV. Cool electric vehicle, very affordable and pretty nice to drive. Huge shout out and thank you once again to Randy Marion Chevrolet for providing this vehicle for today's video. Check out the link to their website in the description below. They have a really large selection of the 2021 Chevy lineup, and they're getting in a lot of the 2022s, so definitely check them out. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.